Hello everybody, this is Bill McFadden from Tone Pure Music, and in this video we're going to get into Divisimate, which is a very interesting program which allows you to play various instruments in your template. So probably the easiest way to get started with Divisimate is to create a template, and there are actually 32 ports you can use, and the way the templates, the pre-made templates are made is port 1, the Divisimate port 1 is the piccolo, port 2 is the flute, and then we have another flute or an alto flute, flute 2 or an alto flute would be port 3, then we have the oboe, second oboe, English horn, first and second clarinet, now we're on port 8. Bass clarinet, bassoon 1, bassoon 2, contrabassoon, and then you have your brass. So you have your first 4 horns. So horn 4 is at port 16. Then you have 4 trumpets, now we're at port 20. You have a couple of trombones, actually 3. So at that point, we're at port 23, and then you have your keys and harp. So if we open that up, the piano is at 26, harp is 27, and then you have your strings. You have your first violins, second violins, and here you can see you have your violas, your cellos, and your double bass. So, and then your double bass would be the last port, which is 32. So there are 32 Divisimate ports, and this would be the best way to go ahead and get your template set up. This is Cubase, and I've just got these different instrument groups and folders. And you want to make sure that they're all armed when you're going through the templates. Now, after you have your template set up, you want to close Cubase out or whatever DAW you're using and start Divisimate, because Divisimate needs to be started first so the ports become available to your DAW. In addition, you might want to make sure that your input device, your MIDI input device is chosen. I'm using the MP11 SE at this point. So once you've done that, then you have all these various templates that you can download from divisimate.com. And in particular, we'll go ahead and start with 3 trombones in closed positions. And if I do that, now let's take a look at how that works out in the template. See, we have voices 3, 2, and 1 are assigned to trombones 1, 2, and 3. So you can see voice 3, it goes to trombone 3, voice 2 goes to trombone 2, and voice 1 goes to trombone 1. So the way it works is if you play a chord within the range of the trombone, if we have bottom up chosen, we also have top down and fill voices, but let's just go ahead in this introduction, just go bottom up. So we have the third trombone, second trombone playing the second note, and then the first trombone playing the third note from bottom to top. And if we were to record, since all of our tracks are armed, if I go ahead and record and play a chord, then what we actually have is each of the notes going to individual trombones. So the way to see that is we'll open up the brass folder and notice trombones 1, 2, and 3 each have a single note. So it's not like we're playing a chord and having all of the trombones playing the chord. Each one is playing the individual notes. So it divides up the notes into the third, second, and first trombone. So it's very handy if you want to separate your score into parts, which is what orchestration is all about. So let's go ahead and take a look at another template. I'll go ahead and delete those out. Now let's get back over to Divisimate. Let's take a look at, this is an interesting one here. You have horns and tubas. So let's go ahead and double click on that. And you can see that we have three, we're going to be using a 3-note chord. And as you see, the lowest note is going to actually all three of these instruments here. So you have your tuba, your bass trombone, and trombone 3, as well as horn 2. So it's a particular instrumentation, but quite a full one. So if I play a chord within the range of the horns and the tubas and trombones, so you see you've got a lot of things going on. And again, if I were to record this, you would get individual notes going to each of these instruments. And we have the 4 horns, the 3 trombones, the bass trombone, the tuba. So you would be orchestrating, in this case, chords. And of course, you could, if you were to use different articulations, you could do staccato, you could do rhythmic ostinatos, and so on. So let's go ahead and take a look at another one, just to give you an idea of the types of possibilities you have. Let's go into this section mainly as brass. Now the next, you have these grids. We have basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 20 different slots. And then you can go to another slot by clicking here, and then you have 20 more slots. So in this slot, we have, here's one, strings and piano. And let's take a look at how it got orchestrated. So actually, in this particular one, oh, there we go. Let's scroll down a little bit. We have the double bass, cello, and viola playing chords, and then you can do a melody with the piano. So if I go ahead and do within the range of the viola, double bass, and cello, and actually it doesn't always have to be in the range because you can transpose. So if we click on this, here's the cello. If I click on the transpose, notice it was transposed down an octave. And also the double bass was transposed down an octave. So if I play again, the bottom note is 3, and that's going to the double bass. The second note is actually going to it's routed to the cello. And the third note is actually going to the cello. And then up here we have a melody. You can choose any instrument you want for the melody in your template. So in this case, we have the piano. And if we want to balance it more, we can go into the DAW, change the volume on the piano, and also your mod wheel brings up the volume of your various instruments. So that's one template, and again you can tweak the volume for the strings or the piano to taste in your DAW. Let's take a look at another. So that one was strings open with piano. Here we have strings and the bassoons open, as well as looks like violins, flutes, clarinets. So let's see how that. So there you have your basic chord down here, and notice you can go up to 8 voices on chords. So you could do 4 notes in your left hand, 4 notes in your right hand. And in this case, the chords are going primarily to the woodwinds. And then we have a melody, and the melody is actually going to clarinets as well as flutes. And if you run out, if you get too low in the melody, I can just take this and move it over. So as you see, there's quite a lot of flexibility. And again, if I were to record this, we would get these voices in the woodwinds, in the lower woodwinds, upper woodwinds, and they would all be individual voices except the ones that were doubled. For example, 3 is actually going to the contrabassoon and the bass clarinet. So you would, but each of those instruments would be getting the same note. But again, each of the instruments would receive their own note in the template. For example, let's go ahead and record that. So there we have all of our template armed. And then if I hit record, and then by stopping, going back, let's go ahead and open it up. Look at the woodwinds. You see we have individual voices for all of those instruments. So we basically have woodwinds in that particular template. And you can do larger templates. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and take a look at, I'll close these back in. Let's go back to our perform, and here's a 2D. Let's do Unison 1. That has a lot of different instruments, as you can see, and we're just doing a 3-note chord. Again, you can do templates with 4 notes, 5 notes, and they actually have some that are pre-built with 4 or 5 notes, and it's quite easy to build a template. So we have our melody in the horns, and also the violin 1 and 2. And notice we have transposition going on in the horns. So if I look at the first transposition, it's down actually 2 octaves. And the second horn is down 2 octaves. They probably all are, because they basically are in the same range. And then you have your violins transposed down 1 octave. And that's just the melody. Then we have, and actually we have a few more things. We have clarinet 1 and 2, as well as piccolo, flute 1, flute 2. And let's just go ahead and hear what it sounds like. So you have your 3-note chord, which is going to be playing the cellos, the double bass, the violas, as well as the brass. I should clarify the lower brass, the trombones, the first three trombones, bass trombone and tuba. And the rest, as you can see, are in the melody instruments, and they're all linked together. So if we play something, so we see we have all of these instruments playing together. And again, we can record all of these to separate tracks simply by hitting the record button. So there are many other templates that come pre-packaged you can download from their website. And like here's a group of patches that are primarily just woodwinds. Here's a woodwind choir. And notice in this case, we have 4-note chords. We could use 4-note chords with it. And then as we scroll down, we see what woodwinds are actually being played. We have the clarinets, bass clarinet, English horn, 2 oboes, 2 flutes, and a piccolo. So when I play a 4-note chord, so what it does is it gives you an idea what these particular instruments sound like when played together. So there's a variety of templates, and you can make up your own, and you can actually record music this way. You could do maybe strings first, and then add in woodwinds, add in brass, and then add in your own percussion. But let's take a look at another one. Here we have, now there's another thing you can do is transpose. Let's take a look at this particular preset. So if you notice, we have some transposition going on. It's just in the melody, and we're doing basically your woodwinds once again, your high woodwinds. So we have a transposition going on, -4 there, -7. So we're getting minors, and what do we have here? Another -4. We're getting fifths. We're going down, like if I start at C, we go down a fifth, or you could go up a fifth by doing +7. If you're at C, you go up 3 half steps, you're at a minor. And if you go down -3, you would actually be in a minor that way as well. So by playing these transposed, we're actually playing chords with the different instruments filling in the root, the third and the fifth. Which is another one of the capabilities the program has. It has transposition. Also, you can do triggers and repeaters, but this is just a basic overview of some of the templates that already exist, and one way to go about looking at the stock or the downloadable perform patches that they have. Let's see, here's another one. We have strings and double leads. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So we have 3-note chords. Now let's take a look at the first note is your viola. Second note is your violin 2. And third note is actually going to violins 1 as well as cellos. So your top note is your melody. So you can play things like that. And again, if we were to record this, they would all go to the individual violin, violin 1, 2, viola, and cello. And you can make it's very easily to add in a voice. Suppose we want the double bass to be the fourth voice. So we just click fourth voice, activate that, click here. It links it to the double bass. Now we have four voices. So I'll do 2 in the left, 2 in the right. So, and if you want to, you could add a melody to that. In addition, let's say we want our melody to be in horns. We could go ahead and click here. Now we have horn 1, horn 2, horn 3, horn 4. Now I'll play a 4-note chord in the left hand. And then I want to bring my melody down here, the keyboard. Say down to there. Probably need to bring it down lower to get in the range of the horns, or I could transpose them. So it just gives you an idea of the flexibility you have, and you can work out what the ranges you want in the different instruments so that you can easily play it with 2 hands. And again, you could record all the horns. We could go ahead and put some harmonies in the horns if we wanted to by using the transpose function. So that just gives you an overview of how to get started with the templates, and you can go through and explore them, look at what they have done. And if you, let's say you double click in this region here, so I've downloaded them into this particular preset folder from the website. So if I go into Swarm Orchestra, these are my options. I've got brass, so lots of presets there. And also we have mixed, so we have, a combination of strings, brass, woodwinds, and then you can just specialize or just focus on strings and woodwind presets. Supposing you just want to start with maybe woodwinds and then do your brass and then do your strings the way you want, depending on what it is you're recording. And in addition to that, they also have these big band presets. So if you click on that, you see you have a lot to choose from there. You have your saxes as well as your brass in that case. So a lot of things to explore. So this is just a basic overview of the kinds of things that you can do, just basic things. There's a lot more things that you can do with Divisimate. So I hope this gave you an idea what you can do with Divisimate, and of course there are other tutorials or actually performances using Divisimate, even live, just to show you the power of what you can do when you get your template refined the way you want it. So this is Bill McFadden signing off from tonepure.com.